Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Wanted to take a look at an auction game called Warehouse 51 today. This is a new game that came out at Gen Con, and it's by a trio of designers, Bruno Fedudi, Sergio Halaban, and Andre Zatz. And Funforge Passport put it out. So let's take a look at it. Basically, it's a auctioning game where you're trying to auction off and be the winner of these different auctions of various religious and mythological artifacts from around the world. Let's take a look at it. You get 5 player boards. Really, all the player boards are here for is to let you know the distribution of cards in each of the colors, and then point totals for those cards at the end of the game. You also get these pawn tokens, certificate of authenticity tokens, these gold bullion bars. Then you also get 2 decks of cards. You get 1 deck of artifacts and then 1 deck of their counterfeit counterparts. The decks come in the different colors that are represented here. You have a blue deck, a green deck, a orange deck, and a red deck. The point of the game basically is to get the most points, and you get the most points by winning auctions in different set collections. For example, whoever has the highest total of blue at the end of the game will get 8 points. Whoever has the second highest in blue will get 6 points. And then over here, if you have the highest total of green, you get 7, second 5, orange 6 and 4, and then red is 5 and 3. Those are point values. And then you also get points for having complete sets. So if you have 1 blue, 1 green, 1 yellow or orange, whatever that is, and 1 red, and then you get 5 points. And then also if you have 5 gold pieces, 5 tons of gold, I guess, would be worth 1 point at the end of the game. It is an auction-based system, so let's take a look at how it plays. Before we get into actual gameplay, though, let me go ahead and take a look at some of these cards with you so that you understand what we're looking at as we go through the actual gameplay. So first of all, anatomy of the card. Up here is a number that will correspond to the player sheets, which tells you how many of that number there are in the deck. So for red, there are 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3. So that's what this number up here is for. The symbol up here in the corner simply tells you what kind of effect it is. For example, a star will say that it is a positive effect. A fist tells you that instead of having open bidding that round, this card is bid on blindly, with people choosing how many tons of gold to put in their fists and then revealing them all at the same time. And then you also have what are called negative effects, and that's done by the little X symbol up here in the top of the card. Then you have the name of the artifact, of course, a picture of the artifact, the name of the artifact. This is Buddha's begging bowl, and it is a permanent effect. And then it says you can never bid more than 10 ingots during an auction. So that's the anatomy of a card. So when we turn over things during the gameplay explanation, you'll kind of have a better idea of what's going on. So the person who is first, let's say that Zach here is first, and he will choose to flip over, let's say, blue. Okay, so we flip over blue, and there is Excalibur. Excalibur is one of the 2 blues that are in the deck. It also has a blind bidding auction token or symbol there. And then it says that this relic shows no effect. So we begin auctions. Now, since Zach picked what we're going to auction, soon begins the bidding. So, since it's a blind auction, she will take a number. Of course, all of your tokens should be kept private. Okay, so privately she will choose, and she holds her fist out there, and so does everybody else, and everybody reveals simultaneously. So she bid 2. Let's just say that Al Falcone here also bid 2 when his was revealed, and then everybody else didn't say anything. Well, there's a tie now. Since there's a tie, starting with the player that bidding began with, and then going clockwise, That's how ties are broken. So in this case, Soon, since she bid 2 and Al bid 2, she actually wins the bid, gives her money to Al, and then takes this card into her tableau. So now that she has won the auction, she chooses what is auctioned off next. So let's say, okay, well, I've got this blue going. Let's try another one. All right, we have the Ring of Nibelungur, whatever, Nibelungen. I don't know how to pronounce that. It is a permanent effect, and the effect says you cannot buy any more relics of this category. Well, that is a negative effect, as denoted by the symbol up here, but it's worth 3 blue. Al begins the bidding. Let's say Al begins with 2. And then Charles over here says, okay, I'll stay in there. I'll go 3. Zach says, too rich for my blood, I'm out. Soon here says, well, I want to be able to bid on more blues, so I'm out as well. Now it comes back to Al. Al says, you know what? I don't want to pay 4, so I'm going to let you have it. He passes. All right, so he keeps his money. The 3 that Charles bid goes to Zach, and he takes that card as his own. So Charles says, well, since I can't bid on blue anymore, I'm going to go ahead and choose green. And we flip over green. A shirt of Nessus. And the effect happens during the scoring round. And it says that you lose all ties. Since Charles chose what we're going to bid on, Zach gets to choose. Okay. Well, Zach says he passes. Soon says, well, I don't want to lose ties either, so I don't want it either. She passes. Al Falcone says, I don't want it either, I pass. Charles comes back and says, I don't want it either, I pass. Well, if everybody passes, it simply goes away. Nobody won the bid, so it goes back to the person who last won the bid, and that is Charles. Charles says, okay, well, let's try green again. This is the Gleipnir. It's a positive effect, and it says end of game. Before counterfeit cards are revealed, choose another relic in your collection and place a certificate of authenticity on it. That's where these certificate of authenticities come in. And this is where I'm going to stop and pause and show you what these are for. Okay, these are counterfeit copies of some of the cards in the deck. These are the only counterfeits that will be in the game unless one of the other cards adds another counterfeit to the game, and there is an artifact that does that. In a 4-player game, one is placed between each of the players. And before game begins, you can take the cards that are on each side of you and look at them so that you know at least 2 counterfeits. You know that there are 4 counterfeits in the decks, but you know what 2 of them are. So Soon would be able to look at both of these. Al would be able to look at both of these. Zach would be able to look at these 2, and Charles would be able to look at these 2, so that you do have some information on what's out there. So what Gleipnir does here is that before these are revealed, if you have a sneaky suspicion that one of your artifacts might be counterfeit, you can take, if you have Gleipnir, you can take and place this certificate of authenticity on one of your other artifacts. We come back, he chose, he begins bidding. Well, that sounds like a pretty good thing to do, and I've got a good bit of money here, so I'm going to bid 3. Soon says, too rich for my blood. Al Falcone says, I'm going to go up because that sounds pretty good. I'm going to go up to 4. Charles cannot bid because he only has 3. Comes back to Zach and he says, you know what? I really want this thing. I'm going to go 5. Falcone says, too rich for my blood. I come back. I pass. All right, so he takes the 5. Zach takes the 5 that he bid and gives it to Soon. And then he takes the card and places it in his tableau. And then this continues until all of the cards have been auctioned off. Once all the cards have been auctioned off, the game is over. Now, you may be asking, What are these things here for? Why are there 20 gold ingots there, and why are there 6 pawnbroker tokens? Well, at any point in the game, you can take one of the pawnbroker tokens and pawn your artifacts at the pawnbroker. Every time you do that, you get to take a total of 5 gold ingots into your stash, which gives you more bidding power. The problem is that if there are any of your artifacts that are still in hock at the end of the game, their effects and their totals, their color total power doesn't have an effect on you. They're just not counted for you. So that's kind of a risky venture. At the end of the game, you do have the chance to buy your items out of hock by paying 10 gold ingots. Okay, now that all the auction cards have, the relic cards have been auctioned off, now people have the chance to buy back their relics that they have pawned. So the only person to have done it this game was Charles, so he just happens to have 10 gold left, and he puts it all back here, and he's now able to do that. Why would he do that? He just gave up 2 points. Well, because he has one complete set that's worth 5 points at the end of the game. All right, so nobody else has anything that's in hock, so we go ahead and go on to the next phase in the scoring. Now, any players owning cards that will grant, certificate of authenticities are now able to do that. So, the Book of Thoth down here that Charles has allows him to do that. So he's going to make sure, since that's 5 points, he's going to try to make sure that that is definitely going to give him the 5 points. Then the next thing that happens is that we reveal all the counterfeit cards that are in the game. So we flip these guys over. We look at the Unicorn's Horn, which is a blue card, which is right here. So that's a counterfeit card, doesn't count. All right, so now that all the counterfeits are out of the way, now we proceed to scoring. All right, and this is where scoring effects will happen. So now we simply go down the list. Who got most of blue? Well, Zach over here has 5 points in blue. Excalibur here only gives 2 to Sun. 4 over here to Al. 3 over there. So Zach has the most in blue. He would get 8 points. Al has the second most. He would get 6 points. Then we move on to green. Green scores 7 and 5. So we look at Sun. She only has 1. Well, that's not very much. Over here, Charles has 3, and over here, Zach has 4. So Zach gets 7 points, and Charles gets 5 points. So our end scoring is Zach with 15 points, Al with 7 points, Charles with 21 points, and Sun with 12 points. That's the end of the game and the end of scoring. Let's talk about my thoughts. I really wanted to enjoy this game. I really wanted to like it. I like watching auction shows like Storage Wars and that kind of thing. I enjoy watching that, just watching people play off each other. I enjoy that. I like how this game incorporates both blind bidding and open bidding, depending on what symbol is on the card. And I really liked the artwork. The artwork was great. They did a tremendous job. I enjoyed how each of the relics had different powers that fired in different phases of the game. I like the set collection aspect of it, where you're trying to bid for those items and work toward your strategy. I enjoy that. But the thing that kind of threw it all off is unfortunately the main mechanic of the game, and that's that auctioning and bidding and giving another player in the game the money that you used to win the bid. And often what happens is you will be getting into a bidding war with a person that if you win, you'll be giving them the money. And that's just an awkward situation. And just throughout the course of the games that I played, I just kind of was like, man, this just doesn't feel right. I mean, there's so much about this game that I really enjoy, but that main mechanic is what kind of throws it off in a tailspin for me. I really can't wrap my head around it, and the other people that I played the game with, they couldn't either. They just didn't understand why that was part of the game. I'm going to give this a half a thumb up because it's a neat game, and I think it will reach some people out there. They'll just think that bidding mechanic is just out of this world, and they'll love it, and they'll think that I'm an idiot, and that's fine. My rating, though, is a half a thumb up. Give it a try. Like I always say, folks, play before you buy. See you on the flip side.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.